All right, so we're going to take a look at how to run MicroK8s. And I found this one, like, it was very fast. I like how it's modular, but I found it the hardest one to use, to be honest. I mean, they're all generally pretty easy, but the complexity comes because we're running in a virtual machine, like a cloud developer environment in the cloud. So there's additional stuff that you have to consider. And so, you know, if we want to install MicroK8s, we'll go to the docs. And we will go and look for, I thought it was like on the homepage they explained even how to install it. Yeah, you go to Linux, and right away they go Snap. Use Snap. If you don't have Snap, get Snap installed. I'm not installing Snap. That's like a package manager. I'm not installing it for our Amazon Linux 2 instance. That sounds like a nightmare. But what I will do is go to our dashboard, and I'll spin up a new instance. So we don't need this one right now. I'm going to leave it open. And so I'm going to go ahead and create myself a new environment. This is going to be MicroK8s ENV. This cloud developer environment, ENV, just to save her some trouble, is specifically for MicroK8s. And we'll see if we have a little bit less problems. Ubuntu is great. It's just sometimes I run into problems with it. So it takes the least amount of resources, but still I'm going to run it on a T3 medium because I just don't want to have to deal with any kind of like having to delete it, recreate it, and run any issues. So here we have Ubuntu Server 18.04 LTS. So this one will have Snap. Snap was introduced in like 14. It's like a replacement of get install or app install or whatever you want to call it. So we'll shut it after 30 minutes. That seems fine to me. Leaving that on the default there. And we'll go ahead and create ourselves another Cloud9 environment. Again, I would love to do this in Gitpod, but unfortunately can't run Kubernetes clusters there right now. But we'll take a look here and see what is being suggested. So it says sudo snap install MicroK8s -- classic. So if there's something that's not classic, I'd love to know. But I don't know much about Snap. So we'll give it a moment to start up here, and then we'll end up copying this command, doing that command. But notice here, like turn on the services that you want. Notice with the other ones that we didn't have to turn anything on. Like we didn't turn on the dashboard. We just said start the dashboard. And maybe it wasn't installed. It just pulled it at the time of when we needed it. But with MicroK8s, you can't turn on the dashboard unless you enable it, right? So everything has to get enabled. So when we start this up, it doesn't even have anything, right? And maybe we'll see that when we look at the pods, okay? So we'll just wait here for Cloud9 to start. Another way we can observe this is we go over to EC2, we go to our instances, we can see them here. And it gets kind of confusing because it doesn't show like the what it is, but like we have to go based on the name. So like, I don't think it'll say here like Ubuntu anywhere, right? So if we go to our AMI or Amazon Machine Image, that's the thing that's running it. Oh, down here it says Cloud9 Ubuntu. So we do have an idea what it is. Okay. But generally, sometimes you can't tell what it is if it's not in the name, like they didn't write it in the name. Go back over to Cloud9. It is ready. Everything is nice and big, which is nice. This pop-up is driving me crazy. We'll close that here. We'll copy this, and we'll go over to our new environment, and we'll paste in sudo snap install MicroK8s classic. Now, this isn't Amazon Linux 2, so it's slightly different. This is kind of nice. I like this experience with Snap. And it will install. Good. I think like when you install it, it actually starts the cluster up right away. Because it says check the status of the Kubernetes service. So you don't have to say start. It just, as it's installing and it starts at the same time. So I'm surprised. I would think that it would just like install it and then you'd start it separately, but I guess that was their decisions there. And while it's waiting, we'll just take a look here, see if there's anything else interesting. I don't think I dug too deep into the docs for MicroK8s. I'm mostly familiar with Minikube, and I think that's what we're going to be sticking with throughout this project. Nothing super exciting here. We'll go back over to MicroK8s. And it's still taking time. So once this is done, I will see you back here in a moment, okay? So after a short little wait, it looks like it is installed. So we'll go back over to the homepage and look at the instructions here. So we have MicroK8s status, wait ready. So wait until it says it's ready. And it says insufficient permissions to access it. I like how they're like sudo here, but sudo not here. Okay, so we got to go hit up. Actually, it has some instructions. you can either try again with sudo or add the user Ubuntu to the MicroK8s group. I'd rather do this. I did this before and I did not have much luck, but I'm going to try to follow through with it. Okay, it says, after this, reload the user group either via a reboot or running new group MicroK8s. Okay, so we'll type in clear. This is what I was talking about where I started having issues with sudo. It was more than just this, but we'll see what happens here. So it is running, and then it tells us what add-ons are enabled, right? So this is very add-on based, as you can tell. So high availability, it's no, so it's obviously it's running on one node, so that makes sense. What's enabled? An HA cluster, high availability cluster, which is interesting because it's not highly available. And then what's disabled right now? So we don't have Ambassador, I don't know how to pronounce it, Cilim, C-I-Lilim. The dashboard's not enabled, DNS is not enabled. We got nothing. We don't have Linkerd, we have nothing, okay? Interesting that we can see some stuff. So like Kubeflow, we talked about doing machine learning. So it's really nice if you want to install Kubeflow, you could just enable that. If you want Knative, which is for kind of like, it like does a lot of stuff for you, like scale down to 0. It's the kind of serverless stuff. You want an open source framework. So it really is good as long as you can deal with Ubuntu. If I spent more time with it, I think we'd be using this as opposed to Minikube, but I just want things to be easy, okay? So anyway, what we'll do is we'll go back to here and we'll take a look here. So it says turn on the services that you want. So right now, I'm not going to turn on any services, and I want to see if we run into any friction without having to turn anything on, because obviously there's nothing. But if we type in kubectl, actually that's not even installed on this machine. So here it says sudo snap install kubectl. Sure, why not? So this revision of kubectl was published using Classic, and thus may perform arbitrary system outside, etc. If you understand and want to proceed, run Classic. Okay. I mean, MicroK8s was Classic, so it must be fine to do this. Okay, so we'll type in kubectl. Okay, it works great. Last time I did this, I could not get kubectl to work. But we'll type in kubectl get pods. The connection to the server localhost 8080 was refused. Did you specify the right host or port? Interesting. It's not working yet. I wonder why. So I think the reason why is because we don't have anything installed. We don't even have a DNS installed, right? So like DNS is the way that outside traffic can communicate, or just like traffic in general can communicate within a cluster. So I bet we have to enable that. So we'll go over here and we will only enable DNS. So I don't have MicroK8s down to a T here, so I'm copying and pasting it. We'll type in enable DNS, okay? Probably need a DNS. And we'll give it a moment here. Notice that look what it's creating. A service account, a config map. These are all Kubernetes components, deployment, service. You learn about all this stuff in the course. Core DNS, role-based access stuff, restarting kubelet, and DNS is enabled. So now we'll get pods, and it's still saying this. Okay, I remember this before. What if we type in MicroK8s? Hold on here. Okay, so I think this is what I remember. I remember I installed kubectl, I got this error, I have no idea why I was getting that error, so then I defaulted to MicroK8s kubectl, and then I was having less problems. So I'm not sure if we had to have DNS to do anything there, but it's really hard to do anything without a DNS in Kubernetes, so we probably would have had to enable it anyway. But let's do -a and let's see what we have. Look, there's only 3 pods. There's nothing here. Remember how much there was when we did kind and the other one, like Minikube? So there's literally nothing. We have Calico Kube controllers, Core DNS, and Calico. We'll learn about Core DNS. Core DNS is what Kubernetes use. It's the DNS service here. It is covered in the course. We'll learn about it. Calico is a very popular Calico. Yeah, it's a cat. I used to have a Calico cat a long time ago. But Calico Kubernetes is a project by Tigra, I don't know what you call it. But they are what is used for, I don't remember, CNI. It's in the course. it's for something. I can't remember, proxy or something. I'm blanking here. But anyway, there's only 3 things here, so there's not a whole lot. So let's see what happens if we go, and notice some things are pending and some things are running. So let's go ahead and deploy our application. So we'll go here to the left. And we'll go to deployment. And we'll have to copy this over here. And we will create ourselves a new folder, K8s. Don't need a folder, but I'm just making one for fun. We'll say deployment.yaml. We'll double click this. We'll go ahead and paste that in there. We will save it. Scroll on down. And so now we should be able to do MicroK8s kubectl apply -s K8s application, deployment YAML. It created it. So now we can hit up, because I just can't type MicroK8s. I can't remember how to type it. Get pods. Okay. Remember, we do -a, it shows us all the pods, right? And I'm just waiting for that to become available. We can try deployments as well. See if it was successful. I'm waiting. And we might be waiting on the probe here. So the probe is what's doing the business, right? It's the one that's saying, hey, after you checked a few times, then we can determine it's ready. If we didn't have the probe, it would probably start up a lot faster. But I don't know if we're missing another component, right? Still pending. So one thing we can do if we're looking at this, we could probably put the name in here like this. Maybe we'll get some additional information. Describe instead. Describe is your friend. Okay, so we'll scroll up. Aha, so we see something here. 0 out of 1 nodes are available. Has taint. Node Kubernetes, disk pressure, the pod didn't tolerate. If you look this up, it might say like, hey, you're trying to deploy into a node that's not supposed to be there. Or the other issue is that we're running out of storage. So let's see where it says disk pressure, like the disk is under pressure. It means the disk is out of space probably. So if we do dh-f, oh, it's not even installed. Oh, sorry, df-h, I spelled it wrong. We can see that we have most of it used up. So that's our problem here. So it's that problem from before that we had. No biggie. We'll go over here, MicroK8s, that's the one we want. We'll go to storage, we'll go to our volume, we'll select our volume, and we will modify our volume, and we'll bump that up to 40. We probably don't need 40, but I just want it to work. And it says it's in use, so I think we're in good shape here. And if we hit up, does it auto expand? Elastic, it's called like elastic something, I can't remember the term, 99% use. So we're gonna have to reconnect, reboot this server here. By the way, if you do have to like stop and come back to this, you can always just stop these, by the way. You can always just hit stop, and as long as you don't terminate, you can always start it back up, and we can always pick up for where we last left off, or just let the it shut down after a certain amount of time. Like if you go back to the Cloud9 interface, you know, if you go here, if you close these tabs, you can always just go back to Cloud9 and open them there, and they will auto shut down, right? But anyway, we need to restart this. So we'll go here, sorry, reboot, and we'll reboot that. Rebooting is super fast, so hopefully we don't have to close this. But when it does reboot, the cluster might not be started, but I guess we'll see. So I don't know if we'll have to, because like remember, we didn't start the cluster, we just installed it. But if it's smart, it might always do it. You know what I mean? So it is reconnecting. Go back over to EC2. We'll just check the status here. No, it is running. If Cloud9 has a hard time reconnecting, you just close the tab. We'll go back to Cloud9. We'll just do it this way. It happens sometimes. And we'll go over to MicroK8s. And I'll probably instantly open and have no issues. If we're lucky, I suppose. It's having some real trouble here. Go back over to EC2. I'm just going to check the volume. Maybe the volume is not ready. I think the volume is ready. Attached. Doesn't seem like there's any issues here. Okay, so I'm not sure what the problem is, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a break. I'm just going to close this tab. I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back to Cloud9. I'm going to launch it, and it should probably work. Okay, if you ever run into problems like that, sometimes it's just worth taking a break there. But I'll be back here in a bit, okay? All right, I was gone for like 3 minutes. I went in here, pressed this button, it launched instantly. So we're back in business here. Now, is the cluster still running? I don't know. So we'll go back over here. We'll say MicroK8 status, because I don't know if it's just going to start up when we restart the machine. That is K8s. We want this one, right? MicroK8s. We'll hit enter. And we'll see if it's ready. It is running. Okay, great. So we're fine. I don't think our stuff is still there. So if we type in MicroK8s, kubectl, get pods. Oh, it's still running. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. Like when we I don't know if we did it in this, but I know that when I restarted like Kind or Minikube, the stuff did not persist, right? They were lost. So it's really cool that it just, everything went back up. I think that's actually one of the benefits of K8. So high availability, low ops, minimal, so there's something about the features they say like that, you know, yeah, automatic, autonomous, and self-healing, right? So basically, you know, if you restart the machine, everything's back in the shape that you want it to be, which is great. Like the entire cluster, like that's awesome. So now that that's running, the question is, okay, can we access that? Of course, if we do curl localhost 8080, we're not going to see stuff here. So this is where we're going to do our usual port forward. So port forward, I'm trying to do this from memory. So deployments / Sinatra 8080 4567, and then we'll say address 0.0.0.0, enter. I forgot the R. Always forgetting the R on that one, eh? We'll hit enter, and so that port is being forward. And so now if we open a new terminal, and we type in curl localhost 8080, there it is. Okay, so it's the same thing as before. It'd be nice to see if we get the dashboard working. I'm not sure if that'll be easy, but we can give it a go and see what happens here. So what we'll do is go back to the homepage here, and yeah, I think it's just because they had a couple lines here. Where is it? Where'd it go? Whoops. That is not what I wanted. Oh, Linux. We gotta click on Linux. So we definitely need to have the dashboard installed. We don't need to register our Istio. So I'm going to go back here. Oops, second tab here. And we don't want to turn off our port forwarding, but we're going to type in MicroK8s enable dashboard. Now, if the dashboard is just accessible, then maybe we'll just stick with MicroK8s. I really do like MicroK8s out of all of these. But, you know, we'll just see what goes here. Lots of stuff about role-based access. If RBAC is not enabled, the dashboard using default token retrieved with this. RBAC enabled, you need to create a user with restricted permissions shown in, etc. So we'll see what happens here. So this is going to assign it to something. What if I just paste that in there? Okay, so we have a token now that I think we use to log in, but let's see if we can actually get into the dashboard very easily. I'm not sure if this is going to be hard. So we'll go and type in the dashboard proxy, so that probably launches the dashboard or something here. Checking if dashboard is running. And I didn't get to show this earlier, but what I wanted to show was the fact that the dashboard is just a pod. So if we go to MicroK8s, kubectl, get pods, and we do -a, we should see the dashboard here. So the dashboard is probably metric server. Like when I ran it for Kubernetes over here, maybe we're still running the dashboard. I'm not even sure. No, because we stopped Minikube, so it's not running. But there was two pods. One was the dashboard and one was the metrics, but I'm pretty sure the metrics one here is the actual dashboard, even though it's not showing properly here. But we did start this here. I'm just trying to find dashboard. So MicroK8s dashboard. Wait for the dashboard. The dashboard will be available here at this port number. Use the following token to log in. Okay, so even though we have this on port 10443, I don't know if we can open that port. We'll try it for fun. We'll see if we can just open that port up, but I don't think it's going to work. I think there's going to be a lot more work there. And honestly, to get the dashboard working, I needed a lot of help. I had to pull in my co-founder who knows Linux networking a lot better for me to figure out. So we will give it a go here, but I don't think I'm going to solve it. We're just going to try to open up the port. So we'll go here into MicroK8s. We'll go to networking. And we will choose, oh, did I say networking? I'm at security. We'll click on the security group. And we'll edit the inbound rules here. We'll add this and we'll go and put in this port number here. We'll say K8s dashboard. And we'll make it my IP so we don't have to worry about anyone else trying to get into this thing. And we'll save it. And so now we'll go back to EC2. And what we need here is the actual IP address. So we'll go to details, public IP address. We will paste it over up on top of kind. And then I need the port, which is here. Client send TPRS to an HTTPS server. Okay, so it has to be HTTPS. I will try to do this. We'll advance. It's totally fine. Oh, this is so much easier. Okay, great. Because like with Minikube, it was so hard to figure out how to get that address to listen on that port number. But here's this token or kube config. So we can go back over to our MicroK8s environment here. We'll go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there. And we'll hit sign in. And there we go. So we're in. We can go to our pods. We can see that our pod is running here, the usage and stuff. This looks, I don't know if this looks any different. Is this the same as the other one? It seems like there's a lot more going on here. I can't tell because they're not both pulled up side by side. But maybe we'll stick with MicroK8s. Maybe we'll use Minikube. But the idea is that we have both our environments set up. And that's all I really want to cover for now. So to shut these down, what we'll do is go ahead and just close these. And I'll go over to EC2. And we will go ahead and just turn these off. So stop the instance. Don't terminate them. Stop them. Otherwise, we're going to be having to do a lot of extra work here. And so we have 2 developer environments that we can use for the rest of this course. So that should be fun. Hopefully that gives you kind of an introduction into Kubernetes. Just obviously a lot going on there, but we will unravel it piece by piece throughout this course. And there you go, okay?